Good morning. How are you doing, Trey?
I'm well. I'm well. Great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome to the Black Media Matters Studios. It's your first time here
This is
with
my
us.
first time here, and it's beautiful. I love this wall. Yeah, this is amazing. We should have
Yeah.
more art and photography on every wall everywhere.
Because it really represents the history. And so I appreciate that. I'm glad that you're here in the building. Well, I mean, Northwest Folk Life does a lot of things. I want you to be able to give our audience a real synopsis of what Northwest Folk Life is.
Sure. So most people know Northwest Folklife for the annual festival, which last year hit its 50th anniversary. And my co-director Ben is here to talk a little bit more about that. There's a huge part of what goes into that festival is relationships and community building and trying to be a good advocate for arts and cultures and for the artists and culture bearers that do participate in the festival, do participate in our programs. And that's really just about what is the day-to-day need out there to make sure that arts and culture is, it's an essential part and it matters to our community, right? Those folks know that it does. I think in the wider world, we know that, especially after COVID, right? Like so many people relied on arts and entertainment to have that outlet. But really, where is the value and the resource to make sure that our artists and culture bearers can really have a good life here in an expensive city?
Yeah.
So parts of that are also our year-round programming. We do youth programming partnered with Rhapsody program down in South Seattle. We did a program called Unbroken Circle where they got to meet with mentors from the roots blues community, luthiers, sort of folks who do making, do craftsmanship, do music making, and then also use that as a launching point to look into their own heritage and history and make music about it. And then also started a program with our Cultural Focus Committee in 2018. So we have this thing every year. Again, I'll let Ben talk a little bit more about this year's, but the Cultural Focus is a really big part of focusing in on a community, getting a little bit more, in depth with some leaders in that community to express, like, what is it about the community that they want the rest of the greater, Pacific Northwest region to know. And so Echoes of Aslan was a beautiful cultural focus on Chicana, Latina culture, and that committee, really expressed that youth outlets for arts, and not just arts, but arts that were grounded in heritage that helped young people get in touch with their identity and roots, was really important part of what they wanted to push forward. So with that group, we co-created the Próxima Generación, which is a youth residency program. They were meeting out at Napantla Cultural Arts Gallery with Jake Prendes and his crew out there for a while. They went online during COVID. One of the things that we were really proud of is that another program that we started in 2020 that you know a little bit about, called the Cultural and Creative Workforce Development Program, intertwined with those programs. That program essentially was an opportunity to work with the city to bring resources forward to pay young people to experience culture and creative fields. And particularly in community with mentors, small businesses, organizations that normally don't have the opportunity to have interns, even volunteer ones, which we know, all the things, but definitely, having some resources to bring that capacity and then build capacity so that, they can bring them into their organizations or into the fields. And so through that program, we were able to have a couple of interns who led the program jointly with our artistic director, and then now are actually the teaching artists in the program. And so that's the kind of channel that Northwest Folklife really wants to have, that intergenerational connection, wants to really have that lineage of having programs that allow folks to continually iterate and evolve around their cultural identity and expressions.
Yeah, this is so important because when we talk about the creative workforce, one of the things that I really appreciate is that Washington State is realizing the need for creative economy metrics to be here. I mean, we're talking about the fact that we have really missed out on a lot of film dollars. Now film is starting to get, its own incentives. We went from 2 million to now 15 million, but there's some equity measures there that I think are really important. And it's one of those things where we also need to be thinking about how we build that workforce in all of these different ways. I mean, I'm so grateful to Northwest Folklife because, I'm working with 2 interns already, and to see them thriving, to see them growing and learning with hands-on experience, I think is so key. It was key for me. And I love that, we now have opportunities to provide out there for the next generations to see themselves as the creatives they are. But they got to have the space to do that, Reese.
They have to have the space and support, really. We think about like, oh, young people, they should learn and they should pay their dues. But, some of these young people are they're helping support their families. They're contributing. Some of them are out on their own. And this is a very expensive city and region to live in. So part of that is making it possible for them to do both, also to basically cultivate that ingenuity and nurture that ingenuity that we're so known for, whether it's tech or whether it's culture. It is all about innovation and ingenuity that starts at the creator level, right? And I think, you were talking about creative economy. We keep talking about the fact that the national GDP is about 4 to 6% nationally in creative economy fields. And for our region, it's 4 times that, particularly in Seattle. So, one, that is a stunning number, comparatively, and with all the kinds of economy and industry out there, to make sure that we are doing as much as we can to nurture people to continue to be a part of that, continue to be able to benefit from that. Because I think what has typically happened with our communities, Black and Brown communities, right, is that the creative and sort of innovative goods are extracted. The products are extracted from our communities and then, marketed and commercialized. And really what we want to get back to is funding the creators to be able to create and to live and to just inspire us on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
Just really have that, I live in a city that I look around, I look at great photography, I look down at public art, in the different courtyards out and about. And it's really about making sure that those artists, it's not just a moment that they're encapsulated in, but that their livelihood and their work is also honored in a way that they can continue to live here and do that work.
I agree 100%. I also think too that, we have something, I see it happen all the time. Great people leave the city, right? They don't see themselves as a part of the city or a fabric of the city, or they're like, the opportunities just aren't here. I got to go to LA. I got to go to New York. I got to go to Atlanta. I got to go to another hub, even Vancouver, which really Vancouver's film scene is because they wanted to come here and we didn't have the incentives. And Vancouver was like, oh, you're not going to do it. We'll build a whole thing here. They got sound stages and their own mini Hollywood. But the idea is that a lot of people don't see that solid foundation here for them to be able to be here and still thrive in a national, global way with their artistic works. I think that that's something we also have to change. So I'm really grateful to Northwest Folklife and for the things that you all are doing there to really help usher this in. I think it's important that, not just young people, but people in general really see the benefit of creativity, because you're right, Reese, it is a foundation of culture. So I'm just grateful. I know Benjamin's going to be talking about the festival, but I want to make sure that if people are trying to plug in to Northwest Folklife, if they got young folks that they know that maybe want to be a part of this creative economy and the things that you all are doing for cultural innovation internships, please let them know right there in the camera.
Yeah, right now we have 17 interns that only a couple of them are placed at Northwest Folklife. The rest are out in community at different community orgs, and there are more opportunities coming. We've been really fortunate partnering with the Office of Arts and Culture and the Office of Economic Development in Film and Music to be able to put forth these resources to place more young folks. And so we're in conversations right now with some different. We have the civic poet Jordan Keith is looking for some, an assistant apprentice. And then we also have some things on the horizon with a couple of sound studios and, just really trying to look for both site placements, really focusing on small community-minded businesses that really are both pushing the edge of our industry and then also like really giving back to the community. And then also for young people who are really interested in pursuing, not just a passion, but a passionate career.
Yeah.
And continue to be able to do that, through a longevity of their lifespan, or even, just take those skills and apply that creativity to wherever they go. And some of those interns actually were going to be gathering at the festival, doing projects and out there. So I'm really excited about that. If you see folks with a camera or, running around and doing a little bit of content creation, make sure you take note because that's our future right there. That's the city we want to live in.
Amazing. Reese, I so appreciate you for being here. What is the website for Northwest Folklife if people are trying to tap in?
Yeah, please go to nwfolklife.org. And specifically, you can look up CCWD, that nice acronym there, Cultural and Creative Workforce Development. You can see a little bit more about all our partners and our wonderful, wonderful, hardworking, and so creative interns.
Yeah, talented folks. Reese, thank you so much for joining me today. I so appreciate everything you're doing in community. Thank you for all that effort.
Thank you so much for letting me be here with you today.
Absolutely. Anytime, Reese, okay?
All right.